Durka Diha. Live, zooming it up on the Facebook.
An elegant weapon for the more civilized age.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to An Elegant Weapon, episode 370. My name is J.M. Clark, J the Jedi Ross Jedi Jane. As always, it is so wonderful to have all you beautiful babies here with me in the Smoking Pod studio. It's good to be back. I've been out for a few weeks, kids. I've been walking the earth. Anybody who follows me on social media may have seen me out there walking the earth, and it's been a super fun time, finding that inner Jedi peace and all. But I thought it was time we got techie again, and why not get techie with a bang? Ladies and gentlemen, joining me tonight, some very, very special guests, editor-in-chief of Source Point Press himself, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Travis McIntire. Also, a surprise guest. Hey, it's trickery. I spend no money on this shit. You know that. I've hardly spent a dime since day one. It's all about sleepless nights on YouTube. The money guy, the money man, Mr. Matthew Knoll is joining us as well.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for hanging out, guys. Super cool to have you here. That was unacceptable. That was too much praise.
No, he's got like a name that says the real CEO.
Oh, you're just noticing that?
I've never noticed that before.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's fantastic. Turvis the Terrible.
I guess I'm going to keep in mind while he's sleeping in my guest room tonight how real of a CEO he is.
That shirt has CEO written all over it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a CEO shirt right there.
It's WrestleMania 6.
Is that
Ultimate
really what
Warrior,
it is?
Hulk Hogan.
Okay, that's fantastic. I thought it was just, coconuts and pineapples and shit.
Oh, check out the Warrior shaking the ring.
Nice. Okay, I'm going to lay this out. This is going to start our conversation tonight, gentlemen. For anybody out there who may be popping online right now, as a few people in fact are, you know what? I should be sharing this. It's the thing I always forget to do. Is we all got these personal pages too, and
I don't even know how to do it.
you know what, this is always the hard part too. This is the one part of these conversations that's always difficult, because at the beginning of all these podcasts now, people stop for a minute and they have to take a minute to share it all on their pages. But luckily, no, share on your timeline. Would that be me? I don't know. I'm going to hit it. We're going to see what happens. Okay, kids. It's earlier in the year. I took 2019 off, most of it. Other things to do, priorities, things to straighten out. So as far as con traveling, I took 2019 off. 2020 was ready to go. It was a new year, was geared up. Everything was in place, all the places were organized, and we had a big plan at Source Point. And anybody out there who's not watching, I help run the shows out here in Canada. So, I'm heading along and helping run all those operations, just so everybody understands the context here.
We call it Source Point North, even though it's really more south.
Yeah, in an odd way, from the homeland of Michigan. It's a cool dynamic. So I'm ready to go. Very excited. We've got brand new plans. It's been a few years now that Source Point has been eking into Toronto, and things have gone well. Not only gone well with the fans and with the community, but the talent itself. A few incredibly talented people have joined the roster over the past few years and produced some incredible stuff, not to mention Sean Daly and Ogre, and a bunch of other folks. So we've gotten to that point.
There's a couple of new ones.
Very exciting stuff. So Toronto's there. We've got our foot there. We're in the big city. name is out there. It's time to spread our wings a little bit. So we're planning on Vancouver and we're planning on Calgary. Vancouver, we make it to. Okay, this is why it's great you're here, Matt, because you personally experienced this entire situation with me. So
it was amazing.
It was. You know what? I feel I'm gonna just do something here because I feel like there. That feels a little more comfortable. I feel like just the glare coming off my face.
Well, now I feel
The
like,
shirt
Finding the
is
internet.
enough light for everybody's
Exactly.
screens.
yeah, I
I'm
feel like
still
this is
working at
too
it. I
bright.
need to get one of them ring lights, but it's another one of them things that's just sold out all over the internet. Okay, so I got 3 cons in February. This year is about to start off with a bang. Took 2019 off, 2020. We're going to go across Canada. Source Point Press is going to have a northern invasion domination. Matt, you come out with me to Vancouver. That is just after I had seen you, Travis, in Michigan at Astronomicon, which was a great start to the year.
Yep.
And then we, after Vancouver, by the way, we have our first Source Point show and a fantastic showing. We sell out. We meet some fantastic people. Great experience all around. Can't say enough good things about it. The people of Vancouver were so receptive and so wonderful. And, you know, it was the first time really I got to spend a weekend hanging out with Matt and getting to know him. And he's just the shiznit himself. So we had a blast.
We were
had a
supposed to
great
spend a
time.
lot of weekends together.
I know, right? And I was looking forward to it. So then after that comes C2E2. Things are starting to get a little bit weird. Firstly, by the fact that C2E2 is not when it usually is. It's at a weird time of year.
It was
right?
very early. It was hard to deal with, but it was awesome. It was a monster.
Turned out to be a great show. Typical C2E2, but there was a vibe. There was a vibe in the air because the handshakes were starting to go away. And
Yep.
there was the talk of the virus, but nothing, this big. And, people were just being cautious as far as fist bumps. People were being real stern about doing the fist bumps. So we got to that point. And then all of a sudden, March. And it comes down like a hammer and shuts everything down. So Source Point, as has actually been talked about and noticed a lot in the industry, because I listen and I talk a lot, got to make some moves, got to make a couple zigs instead of a couple zags, because Source Point Press is, it's been built on the grind of the community and being out there and the creators selling themselves and their work to the community. How do you take something like that, Travis, and translate it to an online presence?
Well, I mean, it doesn't happen right away. So, there's a couple of things going on right there. One is that the industry as a whole tends to slow down a bit in December and January. So, there's not a lot of shows, distribution goes down. People don't tend to buy comic books as gifts, so they're not big holiday sellers. I mean, some of your like blue chip stuff, your Absolute Watchmen and things like that will always sell, but not stuff we publish certainly. So you're coming out of a downturn, you get into February, shows start back up, distribution comes in a little bit stronger, things start looking up. And then C2E2 happens, and it's like, well, C2E2 is still going to pull 75, 80,000 people. And I came out of that show thinking like, okay, we're going to be okay, right? Like it wasn't any kind of major thing going on. It didn't seem different. We still had our huge spot. We just spent a ton of money upgrading all of our, convention gear. And as you noted, conventions for us are a big deal. That's one of our major things. We do 60, 65, 70 of them a year. So we're all over the place, multiple teams, different countries. And then so C2E2 happened. That Tuesday, I got on a plane, flew to Ireland. That next weekend.
You actually went?
Yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't until the day he got there or the day
I got
after
there,
that
they
it
canceled
canceled.
the convention.
Oh my gosh. I didn't
So
realize you actually went.
That next weekend there were, within that first week, 4 shows got canceled. Dublin Comic Con, where I already was. I actually just talked to Carl Walsh, who runs Dublin Comic Con today, because he was like, hey man, we're rescheduled for March. I still got all the stuff you sent me for last March sitting here. So I'm like, cool, just hold on to it.
Yeah.
So I get to Ireland, and all of a sudden all this starts happening. So we get three like big punches right off the bat. So within that 2 weeks after C2E2, South by Southwest cancels, where we have a big presence and it's a big expensive show. London Book Fair, which Matt was par for. You're talking about London, England, huge show, big money, and Emerald City in Seattle, where we have some, same as Chicago, big 400 square feet, monster.
Yeah. And Toronto
So-
Comic Con was supposed to be in March.
And then Toronto Comic Con, that drops. But just that first week with Dublin and then those other three, we lost just in travel costs. And, we had shipped pallets out to Seattle, just in all that. And what we'd paid for tables, we'd lost 32 grand.
It was scary, man.
So that was like within the first 4 days. And I'm in another country.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in Ireland.
That's just got your brain like thrown off into a different mode. Like,
well, you're just like, what are we going to do? Luckily, I think that the guys here kind of saw things more clearly than I did. And the actions that we took right away, one, we weren't sure how long it was going to last, but I think that there was a suspicion that distribution was going to get disrupted. And so that meant, we make games, we make comics, we make all this stuff. And so we ended up expanding our warehouse capabilities and basically getting the distributors to send us as much of our stuff as they had.
Yeah, we immediately reached out to our distribution and yanked back as much product as we could, just knowing that we were going to have to self-distribute to make it through.
Right. Before, I know we're going to get a little deep into the whole distribution issue, but Matt, before we do, this is all so new for you. You come on in February and you're just doing your first couple shows. You're getting the lay of the company. You're seeing what's where and where is what and how things are put together and rolled out. And then very shortly after, you have to deal with an economic crisis like this. Must have been a little stressful.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's actually pulled a muscle in his arm, patting himself on the back not too long ago. Earlier today, actually. It's been hard on him.
It was extremely scary because you're right. From what the future of the company was going to look like, and from a financial standpoint, especially considering how much money we had just spent on all the shows, shipping product, and knowing, we'd get that back eventually, next year's shows. That's a lot of money out of pocket. But we made the right moves and pivoted, and there are a lot of people here that put their foot down and said, we just need to make it work, and we did.
Well, it's a pretty simple way of putting it. So does your mind go into, no, just generally, does your mind go into, okay, how do we move these numbers around and make things work? Or do you start thinking on the creative side as well as to kind of what I just asked Travis? How do you take something as personal and unique as the way SourcePoint does things, like the SourcePoint technique, I guess, and translate it into something different? And you obviously, with, knowing there's going to be distribution disruption, do your guys' minds go straight to, okay, online is going to have to be our world. And, we got to come up with things like the auctions and, a feeling of personality that we also give on the floor. Somehow we've got to give that through the web and somehow make money out of it,
So that's the background I come from. And when I first got here, I knew right off the bat that this company, however, it was like SourcePoint was making money through distribution with Diamond and self-distributing through conventions, but you could tell, even though everybody was working hard and road dogging to make the business work that way, that nobody was really, they weren't self-distributing. We weren't selling anything ourselves on the website. We would put stuff up, but that wasn't how they made their money. So I knew before that happened that part of my job was going to be figuring out how to bring in more income through the website and just self-distribution. And it just turned out that we had to figure that out a lot faster.
Okay, so you're already in that mindset. You just got to kick it into high gear.
Yeah, I mean, we had literally had some meetings in earlier about like, look, this year we want to try to transition some of our distribution to control more of it. We want to try to drive more direct sales. We literally had put up some very, very modest. I'm looking at Matt because he's right there. We had put up some very modest weekly sales goals that we wanted to try to hit.
Looking back at those now is kind of laughable, though.
Yeah, like now I'd be like, what? Why even bother trying to make?
There's that backpacking right there.
But we had some very modest goals that we were already trying to hit. But what it did is it just forced us to like be like, okay, well, if you want to be in business at the end of March, you better change right now. You know, so we expanded our warehouse space. We got as much of our product into our own hands as we could. And we took what money, because you got to keep in mind, right? Like, so we got all these shows and we paid for all this stuff. I mean, we're out 6 figures, in money just out the door.
I assume it's going to get held over though, right? Like
almost everything, everything, almost every, not every, but almost every convention is doing the right thing by us and being like, hey, cool, we're going to reschedule 2021. We're just going to move all your
move it over. That's
here's the juicy details, Jay. This is exactly how it happened. This is exactly how it happened. We spent about a week, maybe 2, of everybody just going, what are we going to do? Right. There was one in particular day where there were too many people in the office, because we're not supposed to be in the office anyways. You're not supposed to have people working.
We're always traveling,
Yeah.
Where Travis actually calls and gets on Slack or however we were communicating that day and says, what are you guys all doing at work? There's too many people at work. We can't be doing this. We've been told you can't have that many people in the office. And it comes down, and we actually got into a pretty big fight that day about, do we come here and do what we're not supposed to do to survive, or do we not? And I think that same night, Nolan and I were in the warehouse looking at all the product that Travis has been telling us to sell forever. And I think we just decided that day we're going to start moving everything in here and selling it, and this is how we're going to survive through this thing. It really was one day where we just said, we're going to sell all this stuff and this is how we're going to get through. And from that, we learned that this works. We can self-distribute. And it really did change everything about what we're doing now moving forward.
It's about as source point a move as you could have made to just, make that sharp right turn into maybe not a crazy. It's hard to say whether it's risky because, risk is necessary at a time like this when you have no idea what to do or where to go, right?
The other option is destruction, right? So, when we got, because shortly thereafter, you remember, then, I mean, we haven't gotten, I'm not going to complain about any distributors, but we haven't gotten a distribution check since February.
Yeah.
So, the distributors just started shutting down,
Yeah.
I mean, Diamond stopped. They didn't take delivery of things.
Everything done. Yeah.
But we still we printed every month anyway to maintain our deal with our printers. We printed books every single month, right? Just eventually.
I didn't like that.
No, he bitched incessantly. But now that Diamond,
I couldn't understand why we continued to print books when there was no distribution. It makes sense now. Travis, he's a CEO for a reason.
But now that they are back up and now they're getting orders again, right now we're like, oh, well, good thing we already got all that shit, right? Like we already paid for everything.
Right.
So, we kept printing, we kept doing everything as much as we could. And I mean, it's a mess, right? I mean,
okay. You make that move and you're like, okay, we're going to sell all this. We're going to figure out how to distribute it ourselves. What do you do exactly to get the audience there to that spot? Do you just simply put the word out? Do you okay, we're going to take all this cash that we were going to sink into these cons and travel and maybe sink a bunch of it into advertising and stuff?
It was days and weeks of Nolan with his face in the keyboard, learning from scratch how to advertise and build this e-commerce system for Oxeye Media, which really led to us having an audience, like you say. And he figured it out, and he figured it out well. He figured it out fast. And
explain to
one of
the
the reasons
people,
we're
his
here.
name's coming up a lot. So explain to the people who Nolan Nasser actually is.
Nolan, he's here. Nolan.
He's there.
Our COO.
He's there. Ready to go. You got him ready to go.
You guys on video too?
Look, there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Nolan Nasser. Welcome to an Elegant Weapon, sir.
Good to see you guys.
Yeah. N3 Deepwater Games. Whole bunch of stuff
I
going
don't think
on.
he's actually even seen like our office. It's cool. Like,
Oh, you guys are in the office. I thought you were at your place. I haven't. Give us a little sneak
No,
peek
well,
here. It looks great.
this is as much as I can show you. I don't know if you
Wow.
can see. Like, we got the
No, you
giant-
can. No, you can get a
giant
good
book.
idea of the feel.
You see Stan like that. I don't think he's seen that yet.
That is fantastic.
Anyway.
Oh, there's your shield back there. Excellent.
Travis is going to break stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, you know, our CFO bought us these cheap ass fucking Apple pieces of shit
it's not true at all.
for these
So-
cheap ass arms.
From your perspective then, Travis, officially, because there was a lot of talk and there was a lot of back and forth and there was a lot of misunderstanding when it came down
Well,
to
I got to go repair Travis's computer now.
look at this guy. He's on call.
Anyway,
So officially though, like from you, with all this distribution mess and like, Diamond having to shut down and using other distributors, has it been good or has it been bad? Where's SourcePoint stand on this situation as far as has it been a crazy disaster or something we can work with?
we're gonna be. I think we're gonna be okay. I think.
And maybe not for SourcePoint, but I guess I'm asking more for the industry. How do you think the industry is going to work this out? You guys obviously have just told the story of how it's kind of working. You're going to keep, playing with what you're doing as it works. What do you think about the whole industry's effect, being affected by this?
I think it's going to be tough, right? I think we're going to go through a little bit of a painful period. I do think that we have an opportunity for the comic industry to be stronger than it was previously. I think that a huge number of retail store owners have been more creative than they've ever been, worked harder than they ever have, doing business in a different way. And I think that to an extent that was needed anyway. And this whole pandemic just sort of forced some of that stuff to happen. I think that there is going to be some pain points. There's a lot of drama going on right now. You've got DC pulling out a Diamond and all this rigmarole of who's getting what and different distributors coming up. I think there's going to be a lot of changes, but I think once the things sort of settle, I think we'll actually be in a better spot.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be a bit of a leveling out of the playing field, to be honest.
I think there's going to be a little bit of a leveling out. I think that ultimately we're going to end up in a place where it's just better for the consumer. I think we're going to get to a spot where, some companies that maybe have not felt the pinch to innovate are going to be forced to innovate, and they're going to be forced to just service the industry better.
I feel like if anything, Jay, what we did was we made it to where everybody's going to need to be sooner than everybody else will get there, or
Right.
most.
Yeah. Let me read a comment right here by a very good friend, amazing artist and super fan, Jason Ward. He says, I think since the change, I've gotten more SPP books than I ever have. So keep up the good work.
Thanks.
The cool thing about him saying that, though, is he's a con buyer. He is someone who on, every occasion has come and went home with something from SourcePoint. So, I just want to go back to, I really want to, where did the auctions come from? Who was like, let's go crazy online. Let's put all our good, pretty faces up there and let them shine.
Yeah, I mean, we literally had, it was like, okay, e-commerce is not a strength of ours. What we're good at is hand selling, grinding, one at a time, and distribution. Traditional book distribution. That's what we're good at. We're not good at e-commerce. That's not our thing. Okay, so no one was like, well, I'm going to get good at it. Great, you got a week because payroll's coming. You know?
Right.
And then it was like we need to be able to make some money. I mean, it was literally a situation of like,
Yeah, he's not
every
lying.
week.
This
It's like every
company
single
was
week, like, how much money do we
100%
need to make
dependent
by
on.
period. That's what it was. Like, and if that's an auction that you put up on Wednesday and some sales, and you know, me like calling like this whole time, and we've always like self-distributed to retailers, but never like we do now. Never. Not, you know, never with the like, you know, with me like writing invoices and calling retail, seeing what we can help them get. You know, it was literally like March especially was really rough. It was very much like, how much money do we need to have on Friday to make sure that all the bills are going to be paid and nobody has to get laid off.
Right.
So because that was kind of our big thing is, you know, I didn't want to lay anybody off. You know, I wanted everybody to stay employed.
Amazing that you didn't have to. Sorry, Jason Ward always says, again, the free comic week was the perfect opportunity to get introduced to a lot of books he normally wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah, free comic book week was huge, actually. We went. So the thing with free comic book week is that when you think about free comic book day and like what it's actually for, right? Like what it's actually for is new eyeballs on the hobby, right? Like every store will tell you like, oh yeah, it's the most people that come into the store, but most of them never come back again. Great, yeah, that's true, but some do, and it's the number one way you can get some new eyeballs on the hobby. You know, you can grow that market.
I've heard several shops say it's their biggest day of the year.
Oh yeah, many.
Yeah.
And you know, and when we lose that, especially for a company like us, it's pretty painful, you know. So we wanted to try to do something that would be at least similar. And the way we were looking at it was like, okay, so our e-commerce was really taking off. We were doing really well with games. And that was starting to kind of like hit pretty well because now we're talking about the first week of May, right? Now we've gotten into April. In April, things started to really rise. And we're like, okay, shit, we're figuring this out. This is going to be okay. Everything's all right. We get into May when normally free comic book day would be. So we decided there were a few different things. One, we wanted to have something that would try to take some of our game buyers and push them into the comic lane a little bit, you know, and be like, hey, try these out free, you know?
Right. Right. Just one sec, but I do need to quickly explain because it hasn't actually been talked about tons on the show and in Canada, as I'm finding. But for the people who aren't familiar, Source Point Press is now a part of a larger media organization. It's called Ccclxx Media, and that conglomerates N3, Deepwater Games, and Source Point Press. So sorry, continue just so people know what the hell you're talking about with the games and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'm talking about all of it, right?
Yeah.
The
whole shebang. Yeah.
So that was kind of where it started. And then of course, you know, we just needed room. You know, we were packed to the gills. Like at the time, you know, we didn't have even this office that we're sitting in now. We didn't have this. So we like what is now 100% warehouse space. We had warehouse space. We had our desks. We had computers. It was like it was a mess.
Chaos.
It was chaos. You know, it was just people everywhere doing the best they can to try to just generate some money every single day to keep us going. And then of course we also had like, you know, you can't have more than 2 people there at a time. You can't do this, you can't do that. So we needed space. You know, it was really simply a matter of like, let's, you know, take some comics that we think are cool, that we have a lot of, and we'll just do them as freebies. And originally we were talking about like, well, maybe we'll get rid of 3,000. And then it was like, maybe we'll hit 5, but we ended up doing over 7,000.
That's crazy. You gave away 7,000 comics.
Yeah. So
that's
it
hardcore.
Really, 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 really well. There was just a huge amount of support for it. And then we did like a thing where we took these packs of graphic novels and we put together 200 of them and sent them to 200 different retailers, just as like surprise.
Okay. That's amazing. I hadn't heard you did that, but I've heard you've done of the many other things that you've done. So you guys immediately are like, okay, we got to stand shoulder to shoulder with the retailers. Like,
well, yeah, I mean,
because Because what was it? One of the first things you guys did was donate a certain percentage of something back to the retailers. No, that was one of the first promotions that you did. Was with that in mind.
If you ordered something from the website, you you put in a comment what your local store was. We would donate. We send them a PayPal payment for 25% of whatever.
Right. It's
So
amazing.
essentially, we're like splitting the margin with the retailer. It's essentially like if you had bought this from the retailer, that's what they would make, and that's what we would make.
Right.
So we did that. We did a few other things, and honestly, I think it worked out for us because, like I said, not every retailer has been able to stay open. Not every retailer has been able to do curbside service or whatever. But the ones who have, I mean, we've never had as much, like direct order as we do now.
Right. And you know
also,
what? Maybe it works out better for them because you guys really know how to treat them. You know them face to face. Let me just quick say that one of your own creators, Josh Sobek, he actually made more money from SourcePoint during a pandemic than his regular job last year.
Well, yeah.
We needed the extra hands.
Yeah, we did need the extra hands. That's true. He came in and helped us out quite a few times. Yeah.
Right.
In a nutshell, though, Jay, when was it that we came out for the holiday show? December?
Yes. Yeah.
I think it was around that time that where we were already talking about the things that needed to change within the business to just kind of get things running more efficient, more effectively, and get us on the right trajectory moving forward to grow the company. And that was also being identified more as Oxeye Media with the 3 different brands. And what the pandemic did, terrible situation, but forced us to immediately become that better company, in all aspects. Nolan building the new website, learning e-commerce,
right.
Jacob reaching out, developing new relationships, signing new games, what Travis has been doing with distributing SourcePoint Press through other avenues.
You just literally put it online. You took it off the floor and you put it online. I got a question. Was there a lot of cross-pollination between the businesses during Free Comic Book Week?
Yeah, so I actually did it was not huge, but it was better than we expected. So about 13% of carts were mixed carts during that week. So of those 7,000 books that went out, about 13% of those included a game or there was a mixed cart of some kind.
That's excellent. Yeah.
So I wasn't, at no point did I ever think it would be as high as 20% because that's just not how it works. I thought that if we were very lucky, we would get around 13% is where we ended up. So I thought that was pretty good. I was pretty happy with.
It sounds great. Okay. And how much did the Daniel Radcliffe thing help? Daniel Radcliffe was interviewed in a magazine and mentioned that he was loving this game he was playing called Welcome to, which is a deep water game.
It's unfortunate, Jay, because as soon as that Daniel Radcliffe article came out, a week prior to that had sold out of the game.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, we didn't actually have copies of the game when that article came out. It was in the New York Times. He did it twice. He did it once of People magazine and once of the New York Times.
He did it twice? I didn't even know that. So what do you do? Were you able to take advantage at all? Like print more, get more, distribute more? Or were there pre-orders?
Actually, it's
back
funny.
orders?
We actually made him his own little set of cards that have like the address is like 9 3/4 and they got hours on them and shit. I wish I was kidding. I'm not.
That's fantastic though.
Anyway, yeah. So like in a weird way, it was in a weird way. So I don't know if you know this, but like his girlfriend is from around here where we're actually at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there was a little bit of a connection there. So we were actually able to kind of get a hold of them and be like, hey, thanks for mentioning us in the New York Times. That's awesome.
Oh, there was connection.
And then we made like a little set of cards, like specifically for him. We have a set and he has a set. That's it.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And
Well, you gotta do that. That's a huge thing.
So hopefully, we have.
We're gonna auction those out for $100,000.
Yeah. You want the Daniel Radcliffe cards? you know. Anyway,
Right.
So he, what we're hoping is, because we have plenty more Welcome to coming, and hopefully one of these days he pops up on Twitter and does like a live stream of him playing the game or something, and we get another shot at that. But it definitely raised the profile of that game. But that game was already like,
It was already a popular game. It was pretty
it was
much the
super
flagship
popular
as it
game.
was, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very, very popular game. Everybody liked it. It sold really well. It got it's in Barnes and Noble and major mass market and all that stuff. But certainly extremely cool. Extremely cool.
So everything, you seem to be riding that wave. Source Point seems to be, paddling along, as rough as it gets or as calm as it gets.
I'll put it this way. I didn't
When do
sign.
we get to see Jay again, though?
Yeah, that's what matters.
I can't tell you. I may say it every other day, but I miss my friends. And it's hard because, of course, I've got my wonderful family, of comic community dwelling individuals here, but we haven't been seeing each other because Canada shut the fuck down. When a pandemic began, we shut the fuck down. Everybody shut the fuck down. And the prime minister came out and he said, "Okay, 4 months, you're shut the fuck down. You're going to get $2,000 a month for 4 months, but you're shut the fuck down. Stay home and don't go anywhere." So Canada did that and it worked. And, I'm sitting here at a state where it's fun having things slowly reopen and, the curve's not really going up. But the way things are going down there in all the various areas, I'm terrified that border is not going to open for a long,
we're gonna
long
get
time.
We're gonna get you.
The last thing Canada will do is open that border. That's, the thing will have to be.
They shouldn't.
No, they.
However,
Travis keeps talking about wanting to get a chopper, so
yeah, I'm gonna get a
fly
helicopter.
over.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Very close.
Dig a tunnel or do something.
Dig a tunnel, sure. Anyway, now Michigan is still on a downslope.
Yes,
right?
it is. Yes,
We're still doing pretty good. It's still very closed down here. Things are still going well. People are being very reasonable for the most part. So all of the stuff that you're seeing about the horrific shit was basically all the stuff that like everybody here was saying 6 weeks ago. Like, that ain't gonna work out for you guys very good. And now, lo and behold, here they are, just as bad as they were on day one. So
right.
But we're still in pretty okay shape.
That's what I have been hearing.
So really, it's us who should be afraid because they don't have any border patrol between us and Ohio and Indiana.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, I can't see them ever just being like, okay, we're just going to open the border to Michigan, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. So,
No, right.
And we got so locked down here, but just it's crazy that you guys are going through this at a time. Like, I don't want to get into it all, but just that you are going through this at a time when so much other insane, crazy shit is going down. Not all of it crazy, some of it necessary societal change and evolution, in my opinion. But what a time to be going through that, and we're just up here. You hear a lot of jokes about
crazy bad. It's still happening, and it's all.
Yeah. We've never been more just sitting there kind of waiting and watching to see what's going to happen ever before in my life that I can remember. So, I know obviously things will, stores will start opening back up and Fan Expo is planning, even though Fan Expo is canceled in August. There's a special planned November event and they're billing it as extremely exclusive and it's going to be difficult to get into. They're flat out saying it because it's going to be very small. I'm assuming and hoping that Source Point is going to have some involvement there.
I talked to him the other day, and I think we are.
And that's what's great.
As long as it doesn't get canceled, and we can get there.
Right.
And
so
actually, honestly, we could probably be there even if we can't be there because we can send you.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I was so excited. We were going to go like Matt, like we were saying, our next show was going to be Calgary. We dominated in Vancouver, had a fantastic time. And then we were about to head out to Calgary, which I hear and have been hearing for years is a great show. And we didn't get to do that. hopefully in the future, I'm assuming we eventually will get to, at least they're talking about things. Like I went to the beach yesterday and I've been out doing stuff and people have been good. People have been distanced and I'm not too worried about things going crazy here again, but I miss my friends and I don't know how long it's going to be before I can cross that border again. And I'm worried about Jay Fosgett because, Jay Fosgett, I don't think he's gone 8 months without coming into Canada in many, many years. I'm worried about his mental state because, we miss him here
Has
too.
Jay left his house?
Jay has left. Jay got a new car. You see that?
I did. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's quite a snazzy thing, Oh, look at this. Jason Ward's I've had several people volunteer to help out, actually, and that's what was so hard. Let's talk about Canada a bit because as we said, we were about to really take a big leap and a big step forward, and there has been new involvement and exciting things about to happen, and this put things on hold. But where's Canada stand in the mind of SourcePoint these days, Travis?
Where does it stand?
Just like as far as how often does Canada come up? As
Well, I mean, quite a bit. We have.
I mean, look how many shows we
trying to
missed
figure
already.
out what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I know because the shows are income. The shows have been good, but I guess
there's also some of the shops that are the most supportive of us are Canadian stores.
Right. Okay, that's great to hear. Right.
That was actually something that was somewhat problematic to tie us into the larger world of comic distribution, right? So we also tend to do really, really well in Ireland. The shops in Ireland, you can walk into Forbidden Planet and they carry almost our whole line, in Dublin.
Right.
And some of that's because we've been going there for years, and some of it's for whatever reason, we do really well in the UK. For some reason, we do super well in Massachusetts. We do really well in Michigan, obviously. We do really well in Canada in terms of our shop distribution. So when DC announced they were pulling out of Diamond, which turned really quickly into a pretty acrimonious little breakup. I don't know if you read the statements and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
And then they went with two new distributors, which were Lunar and UCS, which everyone immediately figured out was actually Midtown Comics and DCBS, Digital Comic Book Store. So now you're telling all these retailers that you have to buy your books from your direct competitors. And a ton of retailers lost their collective minds about this and were really unhappy. And
right.
One thing led to another. One of the main things was that fairly quickly it was discovered that hey, these other two distributors can't distribute outside the US. So you had stores in the UK and stores in Ireland and stores in Canada. I mean, I have messages from them being like, hey, I got 30% more space available on my shelves. Looks like I'm gonna up my orders because they're like, I can't get DC, that's what's gonna happen. I mean, none of this is to say that they won't get that straightened out immediately because this is a major, DC is owned by Time Warner, is owned by AT&T. It's one of the world's largest corporations. They're going to figure out how to get their shit into Canada and Ireland. And
of course. Right. Yeah.
Right. That's going to be a problem that they solve, no question. But, the immediate knee jerk for people was like, oh, well, we're going to try something else. And you've heard me talk about this before, but the comic book industry is very resistant to change, right? It's this great storytelling medium where you can tell, and I believe one of the best storytelling mediums there is, and you can tell stories across a spectrum of experiences, but it is still a very steeped in tradition industry. Right. And it's very difficult to get them to.
It's getting blown all up now, though, man. It's getting torn down.
Well, that's kind of what I mean is that some of this chaos, I think, is going to be good because, before.
Well, it's going to be great for SourcePoint. SourcePoint was born of chaos.
Right. Well, that's true. But it's not just us, but other small press, other medium-sized press, other types of books.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They're all going to be, because what it did is it showed a lot of retailers who were very resistant to the idea of like, "Ah, I don't want to use any other distributor. You know, I just order all my stuff from the one place and it keeps all my shipping as cheap as it could get and all this." Well, all of a sudden they were like, well, I can't do that, but I'm not just going to let my business die. You know?
Right.
And so
Right.
pretty soon they're ordering direct, and then they're discovering like, oh, that wasn't so hard. And not just for us, for plenty of other companies. And it isn't a matter whether they keep doing it or they start using Diamond again or whatever. What matters is that this whole thing showed the entire industry that like, hey man, things can be a little bit different. Like
Yeah.
it can be different. You can do this, and maybe it'll be a little bit better.
Well, look at the
And so,
music
to an
industry,
extent,
right?
I think it needed a little bit of a. I think the industry kind of needed a little bit of a shakeup anyway, you know,
Yeah.
for the health of it, you know. So hopefully that's what we're seeing here. Is a
It
little bit
reminds
a
me
shakeup.
of the music industry moving to digital and streaming, moving away from CDs and, you know, in store and records and, you know, and now it's a digital streaming world. And, you know, the entire huge, you know, the music industry, which is a lot bigger an industry than the comic book industry, had to do the same kind of thing, right? And now we're kind of having to see comics kind of have to manage with the wave. So I'm loving it. I
I think
kind of
it's
like seeing
interesting,
it
Jay,
get all
because
tore down. And, you know, I don't
you
know
look at
why.
all these you look at all these other businesses that throughout this pandemic have closed, and it's real interesting to see from an outside perspective. But being on the inside and seeing, you know, it would have been really easy, even as us, with the changes that had to be made, to just fold up shop. And you judge, you know, we sit around and talk about, you know, Diamond shutting down and how all that happened, but you either make the change or, you know, I can't judge those people. It's real simple to, you had to completely change the way you did business to survive, you know, but a lot of people didn't make it through it.
I don't think anybody at Source
crazy
ever
times,
thought
man.
that that would be a huge consideration, though. You know, maybe for a blink of an eye, but you know, because no one really knows what's going on in Travis's head or the board's head or anybody's head.
No, it's
But
true.
you know, people can have microscopic blips, but I think everybody had complete faith that if anybody could figure this out, it was going to be, you know, Source Point, or we were going to die trying. You know what I mean?
Well,
I
that's
just think
what it
it's
was. We were
interesting
gonna
how
die.
many companies
We were gonna
didn't
die
make it
trying.
through.
Yeah. You know, at least die trying. Don't fold.
Yeah, we were gonna die trying. There's
Close
no
up
question
shop.
about that.
You know.
I'll put it this way, you know, in March while I was in Ireland, it wasn't so bad because my dad went over there with me,
Oh, nice.
and my oldest son went with me.
Oh, great.
So, you know, so we ended up just hanging out, and at one point, you know, we're having drinks and hanging out with Daryl and all that, and because Ireland closed down like that, like everything, just
Right. Yeah.
just nothing to do, you know.
Yeah.
We just drove around.
Why do you think I've been walking the earth, man?
Yeah. It ended up being a pretty awesome little vacation, you know, to be honest. It was, you know, just driving, we just drove all over.
Right.
There wasn't anything else to do, you know, drive all over. And you know, it's at one point I was like, this will probably be the thing that kills us. This will probably be the end of it. And, you know, but I got back and I thought, well, you know, I gave it my best shot. You know, I don't feel like I did wrong by anybody. I feel like I treated everybody fair. Like, but I don't know if we're going to be able to recover from this.
There was certainly those talks.
So before I get away from what I was trying to explain, on the creative side of Canada and its involvement and future with Source Point Press, how excited are you about the things that are coming, the things that have come? You know, there's crazy stuff happening. There was a fan contest that just happened, the fan art contest with an entry by Paul Limyenko, who has worked on Neon Black, one of my favoritist of Canadian independent comics. And you know, just Canada growing as part of the Source Point community. Is it exciting right now for you? Because I know good things are coming. You know,
we've got a ton of stuff. I've got a contract that I'm working on today with a fairly prominent Canadian, you know, independent.
I'm editing a book currently that you really want done, Jay.
Yeah, well, there's a particular book that I have been a big supporter of since I started this podcast, that I believe in it, and I really
That actually
believe in the
kind of,
guy doing it, you know.
Speaking of that, I'd
yeah,
love
that
to get
actually
the
kind of
file.
ties into what I was. That kind of ties into what I was saying is that, up until I wasn't writing any new contracts for anybody, because I was like, I want to be sure that we're going to be around to honor these. You know
Of
what I mean?
course. Right, right.
But in the last 2 weeks, I've started writing up all the new contracts for the fall and next spring.
Okay. That's
all
very
the
exciting.
releases. So I feel pretty confident that we have stabilized. We figured out our model and how
Right.
this is going to work going forward. And I feel really good about it. But Canada specifically has been really good to us, right? Some of our highest selling books have been. Well, I mean, Sean Daly basically
Oh, sorry. Hey, Paul Limyenko's watching. And he says, Ola, thanks for the shout out. No, thanks for your amazing work. That fan art was crazy. But sorry, go on.
Yeah, I mean, well, like Sean Daly is probably that's our Canadian super.
It's our Canada bread and butter.
That's our Canadian super weapon, in terms of like sales and whatnot. But yeah, like there's a ton of guys, and there's a ton of guys that I still want to work with. I mean, it kind of sucks because it really slowed things down because we've been in talks with. I mean, Jay, like we've been in talks with Ray. We've been in talks with all these different people, and
exciting talks
with guys who are doing amazing stuff. Jason Liu, people like this, that are making stuff that I really like, and we've talked about doing something together and this and that. And it's just a matter of like, one of the things that does really suck is when you take away the conventions, when you take away like people actually physically getting together and talking, having a drink, bullshitting.
That's what I do. This is killing me. This is killing me.
You lose some of that
Right,
stuff.
but Jay, it's killing you. But without this happening, there's more productivity for the future of SourcePoint happening within the last couple months than there would have been had this not happened.
Absolutely. And I'm excited
So
because
SourcePoint is going to be stronger than it's ever been.
I think there's a slight chance that I may get to guinea pig the beginning in a few ways, because we are steadily on track for an eventual return to conventions, at least in some way, even to the extent that Fan Expo is trying to plan this November show in whatever exclusive way they are. I feel like we're going to be able to safely get back to some sort of floor presence, maybe a bit before some areas in the States might be starting to do that, right?
Well, I don't think we're going to see anything until next year. I also think that it isn't even so much a matter of like, okay, the government says you can have gatherings and the companies are going to move forward. I think that at this point now, you've got a cultural shift, with a lot of people's thinking. And I think that it's going to take a couple of years before we get back to the point where we've got 250,000 people in Manhattan at New York Comic Con.
agree.
Oh, you don't think they'll want to cram in the convention center right now?
Dude, I'll bet you see people in masks for 10 years. Like, because people are just like,
that's probably going to be.
I don't want to get the cold either. This has been great. I haven't had a cold in 4 months. You know what I mean? Normally I have 2 small kids. They haven't been in school. Like normally I would have been near death sick 4 or 5 times over the past several months. I have not been sick.
Yeah, it's all right.
In this entire time.
That is funny. My kids haven't been sick since this started.
Isn't it crazy? Like it's insane. Yeah. Normally I would have wanted to die a couple of times. I'd have norovirus. I'd be throwing up into a trash can, sitting on a toilet because my kids are awful. But with this, I just think I think it's gonna take a little bit before we get back to that. The monster.
It's gonna take a long time, especially for the monsters. But I think I do see coming these exclusive type events where, they're trying something where it's timed. Maybe certain people can only buy tickets for certain times or certain days. And, it's going to take some creative thinking to work this out. But I mean, they just got back to the point. We're in phase 2 in Ontario here, and we just opened the beaches. We just opened patios, and that's it. The only place you can go inside around here still are stores with a like a curbside front or Walmart or grocery stores. That's pretty much it, right? So everybody is just outside doing everything, and it's crazy.
You guys can't even go to Tim Hortons.
You can't go inside Tim Hortons, no, but the drive-thrus are open.
Here's a crazy thing, though. There's so many businesses that I like so much better with curbside.
Oh, me too. It's taught me the joys of certain online shopping, man.
I hope that never goes back. That's so much better. Like, bring me this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, twice since this has opened up here, I've been able to actually go in to lunch and sit down at a bar and eat lunch and have a beer, right?
Right.
I took that for granted before, and now I really appreciate doing it when I'm there.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you, like, your lifestyle changes that you've made over the past few months and the health, the health.
You were there at the beginning. You were there.
Would that have even happened had this pandemic not hit?
Okay, it would have happened because it was already happening, but not to this extent. If you'll remember in February there, when we were in Vancouver, I was already in diet mind. I was already like, just,
I don't know. I
great
think we
time.
gorged on a couple pizzas.
We did get some pizzas. I think you did a bit more of the gorging, but it was good time.
I think somebody else that we were with did that, but
so I was already on that like mindset. I was already in that direction that I. Say again?
Oh, no names. I think who was out there with us? One of our creators?
We had a certain creator out there with us. Why are we not saying his name? Was it a secret?
Frank was out there.
Frank Gogol was out there with us, and I don't remember if Frank ate all the pizza or not, but he might have.
I think we dined well. And
Frank Gogol, though, congratulations to all that hoopla going on with no heroin right now. It's a lot of good buzz happening with that book, man. Yeah,
that was like for now. Keep in mind that we printed that blind, right? We had no PO based on that. We were just like, all right, our print run for this month is due.
Right.
Let's print. So we printed, for printing it blind, we printed a pretty big number. And I like literally every single one of those is spoken for and gone.
It's amazing.
It's either already gone or spoken for, and we just haven't sent it yet.
Right. Yeah. Well,
I mean, props to Frank. That guy sells his book.
People are zeroing in on the unique stuff, and he's built himself his own little audience there, so it makes sense. But back to what we were talking about that you were asking there, Matt, is February, I was a little depressed. I was a little down, and I was trying to get back into the swing of things. I was trying to eat less, eat better. We were about to go on all these Comic-Con runs, and I was trying to focus on all that. So that was kind of my mindset, was kind of getting back out there after having taken 2019 off and, getting a lot of things straight. And I was ready and raring to go. Then everything shut down. I kept working for a while. And, I had a fairly physical job, so I was able to kind of, diet and kind of work hard at that. And I remember it was a night in March, and it was really, really abnormally warm. And I went for a walk with my son, and I don't know why, but we had a great time. And we started walking every night.
Well,
like a really good time.
You had a good time.
No,
with your kid.
No, not hanging out with my kid, but just us walking and walking and walking and walking, going nowhere in particular, and for no particular reason, just walking and walking, because we walked a whole. Well, actually, he might have had a scooter, but I walked a bunch, and I kept walking, and all of a sudden, the thing hit, and there was nothing to do and nowhere to go. All I was pretty much doing was working 8 hours and going home because nobody was going anywhere. So I was bored. So I started to jog up and down the street, and to be honest, I wasn't feeling good, and I wanted to look better and feel better, and just get to a point and feel better about myself. So I was trying to focus on me, and then
you can see it, man.
Well, thanks.
Do you feel better about yourself?
I feel great. It's really weird.
We feel worse.
I feel so much worse. I have fatter than I was by a lot, probably.
Well,
That's because I
here's some
grill you
things, you know,
amazing food.
this is something we'll talk about a bit more later, because we'll have to wrap about those things when things come up. But a lot of it was that everything I was planning to do was just gone. My whole year was focused on Comic-Cons. I was about to go source point hard. I was going to put a lot. I was just going to work on trees
That is
and go
definitely
source
what was
point.
happening.
And then it
You
slams.
talked about it a lot.
Yeah, it goes away.
This year was just
And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I start walking and I start hiking and I start moving, and that's all I've been doing. So I've been going all around
He's basically
Ontario.
Forrest Gump. He's a Canadian Forrest Gump.
Yeah, well, I mean, let me tell you, Jay,
A
you
little bit
are
of it.
one with the Force now.
I've been
and
going
the
all
Force is
over.
with you.
Seeing crazy. You don't realize, I bet you the same thing is true as in Michigan as it is here, but we have the entire, I don't know if you're familiar with the Niagara Escarpment, but running from Niagara Falls, the Niagara Falls, everyone knows, the big horseshoe waterfalls.
I've heard of it, yeah.
From there all the way up to an area called Tobermory, which is maybe 7-8 hours north of Niagara Falls, is basically an escarpment from an ancient ice age lake from millions of years ago. And it's been it's been called a world biosphere. It's like a very, very special place to study certain sediments and stuff from way back then. Like scientists are always coming to study. So there's a trail.
What's it called? The Niagara Escarpment?
Yeah, it's the Niagara Escarpment. And
he's gonna read 4 books on it.
Yeah,
now,
no, look it up, and it's totally crazy. And it's a world biosphere like site, and and there's also a trail on it. The trail is called the Bruce Trail. So this is a foot trail.
And such?
Say again?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, look at that. Wow, that thing is it is a biosphere. The whole thing is a reserve.
Yes, the entire thing is a reserve. Now there's a trail that runs from one end to the other in Tobermory. It's called the Bruce Trail, and it's a foot trail. You can walk that entire thing. So basically,
Wow.
I've been going around walking sections of it. And while I've been discovering other conservation areas, other historical sites, and the shit I've seen has been like movie set crazy shit. And that's why I can't encourage people enough. And I'm sure Michigan's got those like secret places too, of old like war ruins or houses or wherever. And you go out there and it's just absolutely insane, the shit you find. I went to this place called Grieg's Caves. Up north a bit, and it's like giant Jurassic Park type dinosaur huge caves that you can go inside, and that stuff's been blowing my mind, and it's helped me get straight, it helped me get healthy, and it's given me actually a lot of cool ideas. And I've been writing a lot more, and I've been drawing a lot more, and I've had some things that have kind of come together out of it that I'm actually excited to maybe play with a little.
Wow, you can, there's a part of it where you can see the whole skyline of Hamilton there from the top of this escarpment.
Yeah, that's where I live, right there.
I think that's the point I was trying to make, Jay. Is
house.
Yeah, isn't that nifty?
What you've done with your health, and it's
Listen,
horrific.
I'm gonna be honest,
pandemic has been, man.
I don't want to.
Some of the great things that have come out of it.
Oh yeah,
businesses have changed for the better. People have picked up and started doing things that they never would have done. People
relationships have
and
evolved,
going outside.
Yeah, and a lot of people have either been like, okay, we're done, get out, or have been able to get past it in some sort of way where they've come out better on the other side. And,
I've seen some of our creators start doing, branching off and doing some things that they probably wouldn't have done had this not happened.
Oh, absolutely.
Everybody's bettering their lives in certain ways.
Yeah, man. And I don't want to get the wrong impression here, though. I did not do this to get healthy. I did not do this to get healthy. I did not do this to get fit. I did this to get hot. Like, I wanted to look good. It's the zero reason. I'm not fooling anybody. I'm not gonna lie and be like, everybody eat your veggies. No, I'm what I you know what I got in my head?
Get back to Canada. First stop, right there.
Fight Club. Tyler Durden, Brad Pitt, Fight Club. I'm not stopping until I get that to there. When I'm ready for Fight Club and we can't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, but you're 150 pounds right now. You already passed that. You got to put on 35 pounds of muscle to get back to the Brad Pitt part.
I just finished a crazy cardio run. I've been doing more strength training, and I hate chicken already, but I'm fresh and full of chicken, so it's good times, right?
Fresh and full of chicken?
That's my new war cry, man. Fresh and full of chicken. Let's go, boys. Sorry, Matt, what'd you say?
I said, so you've cut all the fat, and the next step is to bulk up and get cut.
No bulk, ripped. I don't want no bulk. I don't want no.
Yeah, but if you're just ripping 140 pounds,
Yeah.
Travis will still smash you then.
Travis
Yeah,
will smash me
unfortunately.
anyways. He'll smash me mentally before I can get a punch thrown. Are you kidding?
Oh,
I wouldn't
don't even bring it
bother. Are
up.
you kidding? All right, cool. That's good times.
He smarts me to death on a daily basis.
So that's exciting things. Matt, by the way, I know it's been a while now, but still, again, welcome to the family, and thanks for doing what you've done for everybody and everything, and Travis. And I know it's been great for him. And Travis, of course, thank you for getting everybody through this. You know, thinking of your creators, not having to lay anybody off. You know,
I'm just thrilled to still be here, man. Like, I honestly, like, I'm approaching peak happiness.
I was just gonna say, you know, that was the best thing that we've got out of Travis recently is that he said, you know, right now I'm at what you'd call peak happy.
oh.
And it doesn't get any better than that from Travis.
See, look what happens when you spend a little time with the family and not live in a hotel. You know what? I think a lot of people were forced out of the con life for a bit, and it did them good. You know, a lot of us were living in hotels a little too often, and
Yep,
you know,
it definitely did that.
Yeah.
And honestly, you know, I think cons are going to be different for a little while. I think that the people that are good at it, I think the promoters that belong are going to survive.
Figure it out.
They'll come back and they're going to figure it out. And I think that potentially that whole scene was getting a little bit bloated. And
We've been talking about that for
much.
years. Yeah, we've been talking about
And-
oversaturation for years.
that had gotten a little oversaturated. And now I think probably come out the other side of this, you're going to maybe see stronger events overall.
I think if Jay goes into doing more freelance work, that's going to free him up to really build out Source Point North.
Do you see the plan turning in my head there, sir?
Yeah, we just
If
need
I
to
can make the
incorporate
same money
Canada.
and work half the time, and then I go around selling the comic books, and everybody's
I
at
think
peak
there's a lot
happiness.
of room for
We're
growth.
all at peak happiness. If Matt
game.
takes that shirt off, then we all achieve peak happiness, and everything's good.
Oh, it would. You'd achieve peak happiness if you saw this Tyler Durden.
It's funny. It's funny because it looks like a shirt that Captain Lou Albano would wear, you know?
Oh, I'm
Had a
never
couple
wearing it
elastic
again, but I had to wear it once.
there. No, it is pretty cool. I'd have to say. Travis's hair, that's been an issue of contention for a while. So
Yeah, people either they don't.
I went there. Hold on. I went there. Look at this. I peaky blindered that shit up right nicely. I was like, I got a chance to get a haircut, and I was like,
into that show, man.
you know,
I literally let my 7-year-old. He shaves my mohawk, and I'm not kidding. That's who does it.
Is that what you call me? Your 7-year-old?
I did it once.
All right. Editor-in-chief, Travis McIntire, Chief Financial Officer, Matthew Knoll of Source Point Press. Thank you so much, guys.
Oxeye Media.
Yeah, Oxeye Media. Sure, yeah, no, you know, you got to remind people they're fools, but this is a comic book podcast in a way, but I guess not officially. I can't say that because I talk.
Oh, I know, man. I just give them a hard time about it.
Hey, let me just tell you, you know, it was weird in the beginning. I've told this story a few times, but let me tell it very quickly. Is when this all started, I didn't know what to do because everybody went crazy on Zoom, including Source Point. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of kids were all online interviewing each other. And I was like, what's going on? Now everybody's doing kind of the thing that I did. I don't know what to do. So I kind of took a break for a while and I sat back and I watched the landscape. And as it went on and I saw show after show, and some people were having great chats, some people were having fun and doing different things. That's when I realized that my voice was missing from all this, because there was a lot of real, you know, heavy-handed type interviewing going on. And I was like, how come nobody's shooting the shit anymore? Like, what the hell happened, right? So, you know, that's what we've come back for. And that's why we had that Source Point run that week. We had pretty much the week that you had to miss, unfortunately. due to your evacuation situation.
Yeah, we
when
had
you
a
were
big,
land-
we had a massive flood here, so I
Yeah.
actually had to.
I got back from work that day, and as soon as I walked in the house, Travis said, "Pack a bag, we're leaving."
Yeah, like literally within, like I got a text that said like imminent dam failure, evacuate, and then within 10 minutes the cops were walking the
I
streets.
wasn't
being
gonna
like,
leave, Jay.
everybody's
I said
got
I
to
was
go.
gonna
Everybody's got to
stay.
go.
I was gonna stay in the house and be defiant and let them all go. And literally, cop pulls into the driveway and says, "Wrap it up."
Wow.
Everybody out.
That's hilarious. Well, we got you back. But that week was fun. We had, Casey, Dirk, Team Floppy Cop, Garrett, and Ben Goldsmith. We put together a heavy hitter lineup, and actually those videos are all ready to go. And I am going to either tonight or tomorrow be uploading those to an Elegant Weapons YouTube channel, which
Sweet.
I use hardly too much. But yeah, so Andrew
What do you
Hahn.
think
Hey, what's
of it,
up,
Jay?
Shay?
Do you like
Welcome
the
to the
Zoom?
party. As I'm about to, I do like it. It's fun. It's cool. I got a better camera, so now I enjoy it more because my old camera just made it, kind of miserable and pathetic. But I have enjoyed the ease of it, the behind the scenes stuff, like the way to record, because you have to pay to go live on Facebook and record and do certain things. You have to get the premium. I definitely, it's like $20 a month Canadian. I find it so worth it because I've had so much fun. And because I've been using it for other stuff too, beyond the show, right? Like I have an appointment on it tomorrow, right? So
On the podcast alone, we couldn't see all those wonderful, elegant weapons behind you.
do you like those ones? Yeah, those are a few of the babies up there. Yeah.
Yeah, and see, now
I might
everybody
even
on
soon
Zoom
do
gets to
a,
see those.
well, two things I'm going to do. I want to do a little bit of a, I'm going to have to figure out how to do this where I can do a little virtual tour of the Smoking Pod studio. And also I got a shipment for Toronto Comic-Con in March that Devin sent me and then immediately got canceled. I have not yet even opened the boxes because I've had no real reason to, disturb them when they're all nicely packaged and ready for the next show. But I'm thinking at this point, we might have to get creative with what we do with them. So I was going to maybe.
Hey, we pulled all our product back from all our distributors. You should have been shipping that
your
back,
distributors, right? Yeah. Yeah. No,
I wonder what's in there.
Well, that's why I think we might do a little Source Point North Warehouse
An
unboxing video and see what's
this
actually.
Is what they were hoping to sell at Toronto Comic-Con.
Well,
I bet it's a ton of M3 mats.
Well, there's a lot of there's I think there's I got a bunch of mats and but I got some games.
But sell those mats.
Well, now that places are starting to open up that I can, we're gonna.
In the words of Travis McIntire, work harder.
Yeah, I don't understand. I just walked. I didn't have shit to do, so I just went for a walk.
Nothing was open here. We were completely shut down. Had nowhere to go. Hence,
knocked on people's doors, be like, "Hey,
I adored it."
you
Actually, you know what? No, you weren't allowed to. I got in trouble.
Justin Trudeau's out there. He's like, I don't want to see any of you motherfuckers out there knocking on anybody's doors.
For business, even the mail and shit, they would have to leave it. But I was doing tree work, right? And there were certain times that I would have to ask people to move a car, and I had to stop doing that because I would have had to knock on the door.
Drop a tree on the car, then they'll know. They'll be
either way. Just making a point.
Hey, because of this pandemic, I was also able to see you in a different hat, and I don't think that would have happened had you not been out walking during this pandemic.
Do you mean my new hat that I got, my Indiana?
Yeah,
I can't even believe I went there. I can't even believe I went there.
Let me see it. What are you?
It's great.
You want to see it? Okay.
I think you should wear it more often, man. It looks good.
Where's this new hat? I didn't know. He always wears like one of those flat caps.
No, this hat's fantastic.
Like Irish douche hats. Like you wear.
You're such an asshole.
Oh. Look at this guy. Wow.
That's my hiking hat. It's leather though. It's not like a cloth fedora.
That's a great hat to be hiking and not close to elementary schools or any of that stuff.
Right.
Out in the woods, far away.
It's so good.
That's all I'm gonna do. No, but hey, there's Carlos Camara. Speaking of comic shops, Carlos, I'm coming and bringing a whole bunch of crap and I'm going to sell it out of your shop. And Travis at Gotham Central Comics, and Collectibles, Mississauga. They're open. You can go there and buy all their shit. So go there, people. Please buy all of their shit. I will bring Source Point shit. We can sell it there. He just built a new set too for doing his own online activities, and we've been
Travis
talking about
was just saying you should be running cons up there from the open comic shops.
That's what me and Carlos have been talking about, is going and doing some live shows from his show. So Carlos, I hope you just heard everything that was discussed about. I will be in touch with you shortly. We'll have, and we've talked in the past about doing like Source Point days and stuff, so it could be fun. Hey, there's Casey Pierce. All these people love you too, Casey. Yeah, so we can do that. Carlos is a big supporter. I just took a shot when I was there the other day, and he had a bunch of new titles. He had some Monstrous on there, and he had some what is it, Fuhrer and the Tramp, or Tramp and Lady, Fuhrer, Lady.
Fuhrer and the Tramp.
I always mess up that one and stuff. He had a good 5 or 6 titles on the shelves, people. So go over to Gotham Central and get your Source Point Press comic books, or you can call me, send me a message. But I will do that in the next couple days. Then we're gonna do an unboxing video, and we'll see what I got. And you know what? I'm happy to see people. I'll bring these comic books to you people. It's good times indeed. But yeah, gonna wrap it up, or we're gonna ramble all night long. So I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna go back in today's specials mode. So I have to hold on to those. Oh, so much more comfortable.
Indiana Jones.
Fabulous. Travis, Matt, thank you so much.
Thanks, man.
I don't touch nothing, Dr. Jones.
Kids, that's all we're gonna have this week on the Facebook on An Elegant Weapon. That good ace.